All right, guys, welcome back. Thanks for sticking around from the break. Of course, this is Team Gravity's Fight Night for April 19th. I'm Cybert, and of course, also here is Droopy. Very happy that he was able to join us. Observing and doing production is, of course, the lovely at Curran TV, which is where that sound was coming from. At any rate, Droopy, we've got a fantastic second TVZ to follow up our fantastic first TVZ.
Yep.
Tell us about it.
Well, it's featuring two very awesome foreigner players. Petraeus coming out of New Zealand, representing My Insanity, and Bunny representing Team Liquid. And like I said, there's always the debate about who's the best foreigner. Is it Snood? Is it whatever? Quite a few people said Bunny, and I'm inclined to agree with that. So we'll see in this best of five who's going to have the upper hand. And we are actually on the EU server, so we have traveled all the way to Europe, and we're going to get started very shortly.
Now, our first game is going to be on Echo. We did see a game on this in the previous series, so we're going to see this map a second time. After that, we won't be seeing Iron Fortress or Expedition Lost in this series. They both have been vetoed out, so even if we go to 5 games, we're going to be seeing the other maps. Once again, TVZ. Both of these guys seeming to be in pretty good shape. Bunny coming off of his top 4 finish at WCS. Petraeus coming off of just qualifying for Challenger League. So hopefully that means he was playing a bunch of games, practicing, doing that dedicated practice, and getting in a lot of game time, hopefully. And that means, we're going to see a clash of titans almost.
Indeed we will. So, game 1. On Echo LE, we're going to have the Red Terran in this TVZ spawning in the upper left-hand side. He's a player representing a Team Liquid. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bunny.
And in the southeastern corner, for My Insanity and that ragdoll logo, the yellow Zerg player. Can he do it? This is Petraeus. And by can he do it, I mean, can he take it back for the Zerg players? Of course, Jim Rising losing 1-3 against Semper. And now we've got another TVZ. So will the Terrans take it or the Zergs?
Yeah, I think Zerg right now could use a little pick-me-up, especially after the Widowmine massacre that we saw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
Shout out to our new follower, by the way, Decline Death, as reported by Hitbot. Welcome to the legion of viewers and fans of Fight Night. And if you guys would be so kind as to participate in the poll that we have going on right here, who will win? Bunny versus Petraeus? 66.7% think it's Bunny. And if I'm not mistaken, that means there's 3 people who voted.
It's
maybe
either
not
3 or like a multiple of 3.
A multiple of, let's just say 3,000, okay? And 2,000 think Bunny's going to win. So you guys want to make your voices heard too. If you're watching this on Team Liquid, you don't know what I'm talking about, right? Well, don't miss out. Head over here, hitbox.tv/Team Gravity. We have an awesome chat going on with way too many GIFs of parting, because parting's here, as well as these polls that are built into the streaming system. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Fight Night does have some wonderful features from Hitbox. Number 1 is that prize pool, because Hitbox is the reason that Fight Night happens. And of course, that puts money in the hands of players. It's not like Team Gravity is just getting rich, dropping dollar bills everywhere. Instead, this money is going to the players.
Well, actually, our team manager drives a Corvette, so he's pretty big ballin', if you ask me.
As it turns out, I think he also has a day job, so that might have something to do with it. But feel free to make like lots of Reddit threads about how dangerous Team Gravity is, which ultimately will probably just push more people into the viewers, so that's good. But anyways, yeah, big thank you to Hitbox TV for sponsoring fantastic show matches. If you guys are unfamiliar with Fight Night, well, you are in for a surprise. You are in for a treat, because following up this best of 5, which you are just joining for the beginning of between Bunny and Petraeus, we have the best of 7 top-end match. Of course, Fantasy is going to be one of those players, and Keen. So it's going to be a TVT. I guess maybe if you don't like TVT, then it's not really a treat. But if you like TVT or if you're not crazy, Fantasy and Keen sounds like a good time to me.
All right, let's take a look at what these dudes are up to. We got Petraeus right here researching speed, and he's since expanded, pulling the workers off of the gas. Now, for Bunny, he's playing very standard himself. He did open with a Rax first, I noticed. He's since expanded. No Reaper out of him, though. He went right into the factory afterwards with the reactors. So, despite opening with Rax first, it was just to get out the tech, and he's made Marines instead.
It was gasless Rax into CC, but now he is going to be following it up with that 1-1-1. And as the factory does land, the starport gets started as well. First couple of Hellions on the way, but it's more drones for Petraeus. He's going to be, doing a little bit of a poke in here with the Lings. Will he necessarily be able to get that much done? Well, it looks like so far, yes. None of the SCVs were really in position for the repair. A nice eject there by Bunny, but a complete surround with these Lings.
Oh, these Lings have done so much just by even showing up here. Hellions, of course, will eventually be able to deal with this, but that's quite a lot of damage done by Petraeus, taking out the bunker, all the Marines inside, and definitely Bunny was caught off guard a little bit there. But like I said, the Hellions arriving won't be too much of a problem for any longer.
And these Hellions have been delayed probably a lot more than Bunny would have liked them to be. He probably would have wanted to be pushing out across the map. Maybe he was going to be waiting for the 4 at any rate, but he is most likely going to be delayed by these Lings. Now, on the production tab is that layer and the Evo chamber, as well as the extra 2 gases. It could be some sort of Roach +1 attack, or it could be some sort of continuation with Banelings. Not exactly sure.
Well, let's see. It's always fun to, dissect what a Zerg's doing based off their gases. Looks like there's 3 right now in total between the 2 bases. The second one in the main hasn't been taken, so I do think you're onto something with that idea about a +1 Roach timing. We'll see if he starts upgrading on this evolution chamber, though. If he doesn't, then it wouldn't be. But before we even get to that, these Hellions are going to arrive, and they're going to turn into Hellbats, folks. They're
finishing up just in time.
Yeah.
Now, the Queens are starting to get targeted down as the Lings can't really push these Hellions, these Hellbats, rather, away, and the drone line is soon to be roasted. They do finally get pulled. Petraeus waiting virtually until the last possible second before evacuating.
Yep, and, well, it's just a patient waiting game now to get those Roaches out, which pop immediately in the flames of the Hellbats. And, wow, that was quick barbecue there.
Yep. More Roaches streaming down from the main base. Will they be able to break this contain? Because this is still a very healthy number of Hellbats. As they're starting to get lower in HP, maybe the next round of reinforcements, when they eventually come, or the round after that, will be able to break this. But there's just hardly anything on the production tab. Both of the gases at the natural have, of course, been completely disrupted.
Yeah, it's this is a real problem for Petraeus here, who is still struggling to deal with these Hellbats. He'll eventually have enough defender's advantage to overpower them. The biggest problem, though, is what's coming next. There's a couple of Banshees that are in production right now, or at least just one. And when that comes over, it's going to be a real annoyance for Petraeus to deal with. And these drones. Oh, my gosh. Moving on to the Hellbats. We'll finally deal with them, but so much damage has been done. My goodness, 3,300 resources lost on the units lost tab for Petraeus. Only half for Bunny.
Yep, and like you said, that Banshee is the nail in the coffin. The GG comes down, and Bunny takes just a 10-minute lead for the first point in this best of 5. Pretty convincing, although Petraeus did strike out with those early Lings, get some damage done. Maybe he'll kind of mix things up, or maybe he'll just try to go for the exact same thing in game number 2. Either way, he's got a little bit of wiggle room with the best of 5.
Yeah, Petraeus absolutely was not ready for that timing attack. And it's sobering, because you go with the 2-base Roach opener, and that is supposed to be able to handle this. Because you're delaying your economy. You're going with Roach, which you very well may not stick with for the remainder of the game, just because it's ZVT, and still not being able to hold off against Hellbats. That's kind of that has to be a frustrating thing.
Yep. And when you take a loss like that, after you do that first bit of damage that he was probably feeling pretty good about, he was probably like, all right, I feel pretty good. And then he just gets stomped. And again, part of it was due to those gases. Maybe if he would have taken the gases in the main, I mean, literally that cut down his gas income to 1/3. So maybe if he would have taken the gases in the main, he would have been able to do a little bit better with that gas income.
Well, moving on to the next map, it's Inferno Pools. It's a 4-player map, so maybe we won't see the players as aggressive here early on. But
yeah,
and then this is Inferno Pools, so depending on the spawning locations, we could see certain players trying to take advantage of that, especially the Zerg here in this matchup. So,
or maybe we see another 5 racks Reaper, as Semper put it. But yeah, again, Inferno Pools, it's one of those ones where we've seen some wonky games on this. I think it was Puck who showed us just the most bizarre games on this map. But, well, at least in the Team Gravity Fight Night, speaking specifically for this event. But these two guys, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see a nice, long, solid macro game from them. And I feel like Bunny doesn't cheese that much. I'm trying to think back. And I can't actually remember the last time I saw him cheese, but perhaps I'm just blanking a little bit. But it seems like he's more likely to play sort of that macro style.
Yeah. So he's up 1-0. Right now, ball's in his court.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Bunny going to have that freedom to do whatever he wants. Petraeus, I mean, I'm really doubting that Petraeus is super worried about this match. If he ends up losing the entire show match, he's only out $10, which isn't the biggest thing in the world. However, he does want to represent My Insanity well. He does want to make his team proud. And of course, he wants those bragging rights to say that, yeah, Bunny may have made top 4, but Petraeus was the guy who beat him. So let's introduce this player that I've already mentioned in the northern position. Well, I guess it's the northern position of these two, but from My Insanity, this is Petraeus.
And spawning in the cross position, currently up 1-0, and representing Team Liquid, guys. This is Bunny.
The best foreigner in the world, perhaps.
Perhaps. We've had Snoot, the other person that people like to mention in that conversation. We've had a lot of people come through Gravity Fight Night, I have to say.
Yeah. A lot of sometimes surprising names. I know I've mentioned it before, but sometimes I look at the matchup and I'm like, what? No way did they get that player. Like, am I really going to be casting Ryung versus True? By the way, it's 11-11 racks and gas for Bunny.
Is this a little bit of deja vu time here?
Yeah, I mean, this is literally, so far, what Semper did. Now, of course, the spawns are dramatically different.
Yes.
So, yes. I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, it's definitely a 5 racks Reaper.
Well, we're going to see a 15 hatch out of Petraeus, so this is as economical as it can get. We'll see if he goes ahead and takes the pool and the gas. One thing that Jim Rising didn't do on this map was take a gas, and that made life a lot harder for him against that Reaper cheese. So that's going to be critical here.
All right, there we go. The 16 pool. When will he eventually follow up with the gases? Hopefully relatively soon. Now, there's going to be the SCV Scout for Bunny. Of course, with these positions, then he can send his Reaper north, SCV Scouts east, and he can pretty quickly have a good idea of where his opponent is and have a better idea of what could potentially be going on. Now, still no gases taken.
Yeah, still no gases taken, already on 18 supply. Almost suggests to me that you won't plan on taking them for a while. And we're going to see now a second Reaper on its way. No additional racks is yet here for Liquid Bunny, so perhaps not quite the same strategy that Semper did. He knows that Petraeus is not on the right side now. He's going to go ahead and confirm that the north also is nice and empty.
Yep.
And we'll see how many more Reapers he decides to make here.
For now, he really is just sticking with the 2. He adds on that CC, going to be at 20. But I myself am I'm very excited if these guys just decide to play it out macro. Even with 3 Reapers, it's not necessarily going to be like that. Again, it's definitely not that huge committal that we saw like from Semper. So I'm definitely looking forward to just a macro game from these guys, powering it out into the mid to late game and seeing these guys just put on their best show.
Yeah, we're seeing a third Reaper in production, but there is a factory now that's on the way, so Bunny does want to transition away from this. 3 Reaper opening, though, is interesting, considering that he isn't taking a third CC at the moment right now. And to be honest, on this map, theirs are kind of tough to defend. I mean, that's just a fact for everybody, Terran as well. These Reapers are trying to, do some work here. That one in red health is just hanging on barely. He's able to heal now, and Petraeus doing a good job of defending. Despite being gasless, he's just going to rely on his queens mostly, staying on creep, of course, with the slow lanes and make sure that they aren't just completely outrun by those Reapers. And looks like both players are just macroing then.
Yeah, more and more drones coming out. Petraeus is very confident in his ability to defend with, for now, the slow lanes. We should expect to see speed get added on relatively quickly. Now, he is banking the gas. No, he's going immediately into layer, so he's not going to be going for that speed. He really is confident in his ability to not take any damage from these Reapers.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the best Reaper map, Inferno Pools. I mean, there's obviously, a decent-sized cliff to enter a base, but there's no backdoor entrance like there is on some of the other maps, like Catalina or even Echo. So with Petraeus, though, getting a Ling up to that ramp, he sees a lot here. Let's actually verify, indeed, what Petraeus saw with that, because I know he saw the factory, and he sees a starport as well. So Petraeus is going to try to get ready for all of those variety of things, getting a Roach Warren once again as the lair is going to finish up. And he's staying on 2 base here, so he is still concerned, as he should be, about a really strong timing attack from Bunny, because last game he succumbed to one.
Yeah, he's got those 3 queens camped out on the ramp just to kind of finish out that wall. Now, the 3rd hatchery going to be going down at approximately the same time that the 3rd CC finished up, just to give you guys a better idea of how this game is kind of progressing for these 2 players. Now, the Nidus network is the thing that's really interesting me.
Yeah, I almost wonder, seeing that now, I almost wonder if that's what Petraeus wanted to do last game. And he certainly has Overlords in position to utilize that. He's got one above Bunny's main as well as the natural. But before he goes ahead with that, he needs to watch out for his 3rd there. It's kind of being assaulted by those Hellbats, and it's really low in health. Probably going to see a cancellation altogether, yeah.
Yeah, it was getting into that point where it's actually really close to being just completely killed, not even canceled. Now, the first Nidus is going down. This isn't necessarily like the craziest proxy Nidus that you can get. He's instead just going for that very, very quick attack route to get his units like 98% of the way there.
I want to see, though, what he's going to do with those roaches. He might need to utilize them to defend home first before using the Nidus Canal, or Nidus Worm, as they call it in StarCraft 2. So these Hellbats, again, this is similar to what Liquid Bunny did last game, except now he's on 3 bases. These roaches are going to plug that round to make sure the Hellbats can't get through, but Hellbats, when stacked together, can do good damage against roaches. The rest are down in Bunny's base right now, and are we going to see a base trade here? Because, well, maybe Petraeus will rely on, those roaches being made at home to defend against this, but these Hellbats for now are just going to continue their march into the main base.
Yep, a couple of them are being split left at the natural, as we are seeing kind of the worker killed count starting to even up. Petraeus moving in with the queens, trying to just claw his way up that main ramp, as there's the big transform. 4 Hellbats have been formed. And the SCVs also brought off the line to try to body block for these Hellbats. Can he mount the defense? Just losing so many workers on both sides. This is almost a reset button.
Yeah, a reset button, except the Terrans have a float button. That's always something to keep in mind when you base race a Terran. But just looking at the supplies here, it looks like Petraeus so far is hanging in there. He has the supply lead at 47 to 25 right now. But these SCVs are going to continue to repair this bunker, and it is staying surprisingly resilient here.
Yep, there should be enough queens and roaches to finish it off. The mules are brought on at the last possible moment, but just with the last few units going down, and with, well, 40 workers going down for our Terran player, he did manage to clean up the lair, and that is the thing he has going for him.
Well, I guess there is one X factor here. It is a flying unit in this Banshee. No anti-air anymore with the queens all dead. So this will probably actually keep Liquid Bunny in the game. I mean, you look at his situation, 1 SCV, 14 supply. That's horrendous, right? But these roaches will most certainly be cleaned up. And he's got 3 orbitals to drop mules. He just needs to stabilize. How long that takes, of course, is going to be the question.
Yeah, I mean, 20 drones is not good, but our Zerg player is at least on that 1 full base of mining. As long as these roaches stay alive, Bunny just cannot really mine freely in his main. They finally will be pushed away as a couple of more do manage to stream. The Nidus Worm is still alive, but it is not going to be around for too much longer.
You know, that's something actually really important here. If the Nidus Worm is still alive, that means Petraeus can just keep sending, you know, just even small amounts of roaches down here just to bother Bunny enough so that he can't mine. If that Nidus Worm wasn't around, then that would be very difficult to do, right? You have to walk across the map. I mean, by the time he gets here, there's going to be way more stuff. Now, Bunny has managed to get out a second Banshee that's going to help out greatly in trying to delete this roach threat. And he is starting to mine again. Now, I'm wondering if he's dropped mules maybe in that natural. Well, as I say it, he does it.
Yep.
And Bunny's still trying to hang on here.
Roaches are again slowly streaming out, and really there's nothing that's been sent over. A single one of these Banshees could have gone over to deal with the Nidus, but he's, of course, just keeping them here because he needs to clean up these roaches. The mules in the natural are completely free to mine, and everything but the Overseer has been pushed away.
Well, here's the other tricky thing, too, is until now, maybe, I don't know if Bunny saw the creep there coming from that Nidus Worm. He did, so he should know that the Nidus Worm is there. If he can take that out, he'll finally be able to breathe, but he's still chasing after roach that's entering his base. Meanwhile, Petraeus is re-expanding, or I guess taking his original base. He hasn't made many drones. In fact, he hasn't made any drones. In fact, he just lost one for making that hatchery. But he can't... Petraeus needs to be careful. He can't just keep making roaches nonstop and then just trying to YOLO them into Bunny's base. Because Bunny has 2 Banshees now. He's making a 3rd. He's got 3 CC. He's going to start mining a lot once he is able to get those mules down. So Petraeus can't just keep sending roaches like this over and over again. He needs to start macroing again.
But he certainly is going to try. Now, he's got 4 of them on Bunny's side of the map, and he's producing another couple, which he may end up loading up into that Nidus. Eventually, these Banshees might just try to push out and finish off the Nidus, but no, they're going to be going for the Queens. Of course, they want to eliminate the only anti-air factor in Petraeus' army, and this last Queen will go down narrowly before killing off those Banshees. But as long as this Nidus still is around, more and more roaches, like you were saying, they're coming across the map piecemeal.
Yeah, they are, but as you can see, Bunny's unit count is starting to increase. He was down to just 1 Banshee, now he's on 3. Could have had 4 if he kept that 4th one alive, but there's also some Marines on the ground to help out. And now Bunny is mining comfortably on 8 SCVs and a bunch of mules. It's only going to get better and better for him as time progresses. This amount of roaches just going in 3 at a time, this isn't Noah's Ark, man. So you gotta find something else to do. And now the Nidus Worm is out.
Finally, it does go down. And like you were talking about, Petraeus hasn't really got his macro on. I mean, we're a couple minutes later, and he still has only 5 more workers than he had so long ago when the attack got cleaned up. Roaches, again, just being pushed away constantly. There's remaining this creep tumor, so that's kind of nice for Petraeus because he does have that bit of vision. He does have that bit of creep, which is just annoying.
Oh, and here comes the counter now. 3 Banshees moving out. Petraeus, or Bunny, knows that the roach threat is gone for now, so you can go ahead and see what he can do with this attack, and this is going to be rough for Petraeus. He's already thrown down 3 spores, or is that 2 spores it looks like? No, there are 3, just 3rd probably in the main. So really, that's a lot of resources expended on that, keeping that drone count lower than he'd like. These Banshees could potentially find quite a bit to go after.
They could, but if this natural ends up burning down, that'll be a significant portion of the potential economy for Bunny. His natural is just slowly taking a bit more damage. Finally does push back that last roach that was keeping it from landing. as the Banshees move into the natural. And oh boy, if these Banshees had Cloak, they would be able to stay cloaked for just about forever. But for now, they're going to be looking for every little nook and cranny of an opening. They're going to be looking for every possible advantage that they can take because Bunny needs those advantages.
Now, one interesting thing is that Petraeus has been banking gas here. And he just wants to go for a whole bunch of mutas. But now that Bunny has scouted it, he's going to go after the Spire. No, not quite. That Queen is just too close for comfort for that Banshee to hang around. But, you know, I almost wonder if Petraeus can hang out in front of that lair and just snipe the lair, stay out of range of those spores. But the Queens are always a rough threat when there's no cloak.
Yep. Now he is going to be following it up with his engineering bays and more racks. So he is going to have some missile turrets, likely going to be almost finished by the time these mutas come across the map. The mutas might actually decide to kill off the Banshees, which would delay them by a pretty good portion.
Yeah, that's actually, this is really good here for Petraeus. These mutas have certainly caught Bunny. I think Bunny just hung around here. Once he saw the Spire and knew he couldn't stop it, he probably should have just left with these. But then again, they wouldn't do anything to mutas anyways, and right now they're making their way across the map. So Bunny here is trying to set up turrets everywhere. Now it's the other way around. One guy, Petraeus, had to make a bunch of spores. Now Bunny is the one who's having to make a bunch of missile turrets. And the Nidus Worm is coming back again. Like you said, Cybert, with the spore providing, or not the spore, sorry, the creep tumor providing vision, he is able to use that location again.
And the one thing that kept Bunny in this game previously was those Banshees. But as we saw, the Banshee count got completely reset. Even the Banshee that was low health and basically at Bunny's main base got cleaned up. And now Petraeus, he does have to deal with this Viking, but he's getting those little bits of damage, just a piece here and a piece there, poking in where he can.
Yep, and not much going for Liquid Bunny at this point. He's going to have to rely on these Marines. He does have quite a few of them. He can get them in the right position on those mutas. Petraeus needing to be careful with them. He's just trying to snipe that Rax. Of course, sniping production of Terran is a really important thing to do. The mutas will settle for that one kill, it looks like.
The mutas will settle, and also Petraeus, he's like dropped down that Nidus, and he hasn't really done anything with it. On the production tab is just more mutas, so I wonder if he's actually going to be using this for anything at all of significance. For now, it's just to spread more creep.
Yeah, and Petraeus now has added on some more drones here, another 5. So he's starting to transition, go back into full macro mode here as he's relying on these mutas to buy himself time, keep Bunny at home. This missile turret goes down. That's pretty big here. Now these SCVs are sitting ducks. The Marines have to stim to chase after the mutas, and the mutas just fly away. So forcing out a stim is fantastic when you have no medevacs. And so really these mutas having their way with Bunny's base at the moment.
Yeah, he can hardly even afford a single medevac at a time, and pretty much all of those Marines getting cleaned up. Like you talked about, Stim with no medevacs is a huge problem. Immediately, the Thor gets magic boxed and destroyed. Petraeus takes it back, 1-1.
Very, very well closed out by Petraeus in this post-apocalyptic scenario, which is what I always like to call it when two players engage in some kind of base trade and they wind up with, like, you know, a number of workers you can count on your one hand. Petraeus playing it very well there. For a second, I was a little concerned that he might have been just, you know, committing too much on the little roaches coming out 2 at a time, but he had been banking gas because roaches, after all, aren't that gas intensive, and then that switch into muta at the end proved too much for Bunny to handle.
Yeah, and it's like Bunny had just a couple of things on his docket. He was like, all right, I need missile turrets, I need Marines with Stim, I need medevacs, and I need a Thor. And it's like, his missile turrets got killed. He didn't have enough medevacs to keep his Marines alive. And then as soon as that Thor got killed, he was like, well, that's all of the things on my stay in this game list, so I guess it's time to GG. Of course, leaving. Now, Vonnie Research Station is going to be our next map. And this one, I'm calling it, man. We're going to see that macro game that we wanted to see. Maybe. I really want to see a macro game from these guys. Just straight up, like, let's be gentlemen about this. CC first. You could even go 3 hatch before pool if you really wanted to. But just economic play. You know, follow that droopy program that you're always talking about. Go for that macro style. Because we've seen the aggressive stuff. We've seen the wonky games. So now let's see that straight up macro.
Well, I don't know if we're going to see macro for sure, but we're going to see a lot of harassment. This is Vonnie, just a favorite
That's
breeding
true.
ground of Terrans to, go ham with the drops and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I almost envision Petraeus opening on two base again on this map and just trying to defend. That's kind of been his game in these last two games more than anything. I guess last game he did eventually go with a Nidus, but he did, again, stay on two bases to go with that Roach opener. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's very true. Now, will he follow up with the aggression? The fellow in the southern position representing My Insanity and Zergs everywhere. He has taken a point back, even in the score up 1-1 of this best of 5 from My Insanity. Again, this is Petraeus.
Three orbitals couldn't quite do the job there for Bunny. The Mutas just caught him a little off guard. This game, though, will he be able to bring it back and take the lead once more? Representing Team Liquid, guys, this is Bunny.
And Petraeus is just like, well, you may be the best foreigner in the world, but that doesn't mean you're immortal. That doesn't mean I can't take games off you. And that doesn't mean that, well, we're all going to be seeing a 12 racks, 12 gas. So perhaps we'll see if the best foreigner in the world can do some damage with Reapers.
Two games now. Both of these guys have opened up in similar ways, obviously with different results. But we saw Petraeus go with two-base Roach. We saw Bunny go with a two-base timing attack with Hellbats. Last game he did take the third, but it was later. I want to see if these guys will switch up that game plan a little bit, because both have kind of had their success now with that build, with their own the first build they went for. Bunny, interestingly, he went for that 3 Reaper opening, but he didn't translate that into a 3 CC opener. He just set himself up for a Hellbat timing, kind of utilizing that gas for that purpose. Let's see what he does here. I'm very curious. He's going to have a Reaper coming out first.
Yep, and again, things are looking pretty similar. As you were mentioning for Petraeus, he is sticking with that just safe, standard, solid style. Again, will he add on the gases a little bit later? He did go a bit gasless in the previous game, but it worked out pretty well for him. He was able to use that gas into the layer and then kind of use that in a quote-unquote unusual way to win out in the long run. For now, he continues to go with that gasless style, and as Bunny adds on that second Reaper, he could be queuing up a third Reaper relatively soon.
This is not a bad map to go gasless on, just because the natural's in the back. It's not easy for Reapers to get to it. The front, you have a really small choke at the ramp. Of course, Reapers can hop the cliffs, but again, it's not like there's a backdoor entrance. You can have all these areas covered with just a good amount of lings and queens as well with their range. So Petraeus opening gasless here, it's pretty sensible, I think. But he is going to have to rely on these slowlings for a little bit before that queen comes out to deal with this Reaper.
Yep, and it is just those 2 Reapers. Now, the Spore is going down, of course, to save that drone. Doesn't want anything to die, although he did lose a couple of lings, which is annoying, but the Reapers have been mostly pushed away, and that guy is very low on HP. He'll have to sit out for a little while he tags in with his buddy.
Yeah, tag team effort, huh? Second Reaper in here, just going to move around and I guess do some scouting. I don't see this killing much at all. Going to check on the natural with 2 queens in pursuit. This Reaper may even have trouble getting out, but Reapers are as important for scouting as they are for harass, maybe even more so. This Reaper, just gets away. Just in the nick of time. Yep.
Now,
queen, not fast enough.
Yep, not fast enough. Also not fast enough is that Reaper to actually see the second gas at the natural. He spotted that one of them was taken, but he didn't see that the other one had been taken as well. He does, however, know that it was gasless for quite some time, and it is immediately going to be into that Roach Warren.
So another similar opening out of Petraeus, staying on 2 base for the time being. I think he wanted to take a third, though. but these two Reapers sniped the drone as it was leaving. Yeah, there's the drone going back now for the third. Reapers trying to get to it to deny it some more, and they will be able to do it. That is so frustrating for Petraeus. Twice now trying to expand and being denied, and now as these queens go to the third, will these Reapers go back up? Well, they would if these Hellions arrived and helped, and they are here. Drone, again, trying to build a third. Petraeus finally gets it down.
Yeah, but flawless control thus far from Vonnie, just microing back absolutely perfectly, taking a lot of damage but losing nothing, and trading out a couple of those kills on some Lings, and of course pushing back what would have liked to have been like a 6:15 third hatch all the way almost to the 7-minute mark or 7-quarter-minute mark.
Yeah, that's really annoying for Petraeus, and now that these Hellions are starting to become pretty frustrating themselves, we have some roaches being made by Petraeus to help to deal with this. Roaches chasing after these Hellions and Reapers, and still, though, more reinforcements coming down here from Bunny, it looks like.
Yeah, he's starting to push out more of those Hellions and group them up. Now, he has laid off the reinforcements. He has pulled back on the pressure so he can get himself more racks and engineering bays and then move into more of a mid-game sort of play. But, oh, these Reapers and Hellions waltzing right up into the main base. The target firing is not optimal for Petraeus.
Yeah, and Petraeus' army is like halfway across the map. It's kind of past the point of no return, so he's going to rely on these Lings being produced back home and actually minimizes his losses, frankly. I think that was actually well defensed, despite how scary it looked for a moment. There are only 5 workers killed in total by Bunny this entire game. Not much at all, and now we're going to see this Roach timing attack with Banes as well. Petraeus thinking, you delayed my third for so long, now I'm almost forced to make this kind of 2-base timing attack, and well, this could be a very punishing one. I don't really see a lot at the moment for Bunny.
Yeah, I mean, his bunker isn't finished, stim just now completing, but he's got like 4 units he can actually stim, and they're starting to get absolutely destroyed. These Banelings getting very close to detonating on some serious SCVs. Nice SCV splitting to try to minimize this, but still, there's so many units that have no answer.
Yeah, there isn't, and Bunny, he's just woefully underprepared at this moment. GG on 3 CCs and just in the middle of transitioning into that mid game. Wasn't quite enough, and now the score is 2-1. Lead for Petraeus.
Caught in the middle.
Indeed.
Caught in the middle, not really able to do anything, and as a result, like you were saying,
to Petraeus in these last 2 games, he was up 1-0 in a very strong and convincing win. Now, kind of on the back foot and having to play some catch up. This is match point, folks. Best of 5 means 1 more for his opponent will seal the victory, so he needs to make something happen now. Playing for Team Liquid, guys, this is Bunny.
And also, he definitely needs to play macro. That's what I should say. I keep wanting to see these longer games, but then it's like something happens in the early game that forces either player's hand, or Bunny is just going for a really sick Hellbat push, and then he just wins. And, yeah, 12 racks. Gas is going to be taken shortly thereafter for Bunny. Will it just be the 2 Reapers? We will have to wait and see.
Well, you know, to Bunny's credit, last game was probably the most macro-oriented out of them. He went into 3CC, and then, if anything, that burned him the worst. Because in game 2, he did lose that game, yes, but, you know, he pushed it to that post-base trade scenario, and, you know, it was the mutas that did him in the end, but he was, you know, in a good spot for a while on the 3 orbitals and holding off against the roaches that Petraeus kept throwing at him. So, you know, given that, maybe 2-base play isn't so bad for him. I don't know.
Yeah, you may have a very good point there, and he is quite a powerful player on 2-base. Now, it is going to be 16 hatch, 16 gas, 16 pool in that order. So it is going to be gas before pool for Petraeus.
Interesting that he chooses to open with gas this time around here on Coda LE. And you know what? I can see why. This is very reminiscent of Catalina LE with that secondary entrance for a Reaper to possibly hop in. And, you know, with that, it's very greedy and risky to open without speed because you're just going to have way too many places to cover with just slow lings and queens. And it's funny too because I saw this very scenario play out yesterday when I was covering Gatorland. It was actually our team manager Beast who played against a Zerg player who opened gasless on Catalina, and it was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in all of my years of casting. Just the most lopsided units lost tab ever. Something like 20,000 to 2,000 in the end. It was horrendous. So I don't want to see that happen to Bunny here, or Petraeus here.
Yeah, it's like Flash may have played a perfect game in GSL a couple of seasons ago, but did he have that kind of a ratio going on? I mean, that's just crazy, 20,000 to 200. I hope you're exaggerating because that is truly disgusting. Now, Petraeus getting dangerously low with some of these drones. The Reaper is going to dive back in, but he's going to be pushed away. No real damage done by this Reaper. He's more fulfilling that kind of primary role of the scout rather than the harasser. But our CC is going to be finishing up for our Terran player. He adds on the starport as well.
Yeah, Bunny's going to stick with a 2-base opener again. And he is going to just go right into that starport tech, as you said. No 3CC. I think I just said that, but in two different ways. Either way, yes. We're going to have Petraeus having made quite a few lings here in anticipation of early Reaper harassment, not seeing it. And he's like, well, I got to do something with these guys. So he's going to send the speedlings on down and see what he can get.
Yeah, they are separated out, which means this first group of speedlings is going to take some damage. Not a hefty amount of damage, but some of them certainly got softened up. Some others did get pushed away and killed, which means the entire group is going to be brought backwards, and that buys so much more time for Bunny. He's going to have that first kind of group of Hellions still safe and alive. He's, of course... Actually, I guess he canceled that medevac. He restarts it now. Maybe he wanted to get the armory or more Hellions out a little bit sooner.
Yeah, it looks like the armory there may be the reason for it. And, well, this is that Hellbat building in. It's been the most productive one out of Liquid Bunny in the three games before this. So, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're going to see Hellbats again, and I don't know if Petraeus is... well, you know, he sees that Bunny is on 2 bases, sticking with that. The Hellion count still on 4 for the moment, but those lings running by that natural right now just see another 2. And now, well, Petraeus's red flag might be going up.
Yep, he's going to dart into the natural, and he is going to turn right around and get on back out. He will kind of force all of the Hellions to be turned around and brought back, leaving a couple of lings in the natural, manages to clean up that mule there. The majority of them do manage to escape, and that, again, is just a huge delay. He's even got a Spire down, and the Spine Crawler is going to be more than finished.
Ooh, the Spire is going to be interesting, but will there be enough time for that to come into play? The Spine Crawler certainly will help out, though, as well as these Queens. So Petraeus here, very concerned about the 2-base timing that Bunny is trying to make here. That Spire, though, that's going to be the X factor. If that can finish up and the mutas come out, this thing is done here for Liquid Bunny. But that's a big if, as he is making his attack now.
Yep, he's starting to push in. Again, that splash damage doing so fantastically. One of the Spine Crawlers not really been in range for the majority of this battle, only just now starting to get those pokes in. But this is kind of that divide and conquer philosophy. Because he was able to just section off part of these units, he's able to do a bit more damage. One of the Hellbats getting completely surrounded, going to be roasting away 3 drones for its trouble, though.
And right now, Petraeus is still just relying on lings here. In game number 1, he did have the... Oh, the Spine Crawler's not going to be able to root. That thing is gone before it even gets into the ground, unfortunately, for Petraeus. He does transfuse it, but not really going to end up doing much for that Spine Crawler. Now these Hellbats are making their way into the main base. Muta's in production now. The Spire did finish, but the clock is ticking as these Hellbats are starting to converge onto the mineral line. These drones needing to be split by Petraeus ASAP, making sure they're not stacked. That would have been absolutely a disaster as these Hellbats are close together, stacking their flames. So these drones being pulled into the natural, just leaving some in the main to sacrifice and serve as decoy to just buy a little more time here. But the drone count is running lower and lower, down to 11 right now. Mutas are finally out. Is it too late?
Yeah, 37 drones going down. It's not like Petraeus can drop down triple mules at a time. Nothing like that. is going to be able to save him. He's going to have to do some hefty, hefty damage. He has 22 minerals and 0 drones.
Yeah, and he hasn't done counter damage either. This isn't like that base trade we saw in game 2, so these mutas are going to have to just do some... They're just going to have to do God's work at this point. But since Bunny has been continuously mining, he can afford to put up things like missile turrets.
Yep.
So, GG.
And that was kind of like in game number 3 on Inferno Pools, or game number 2, excuse me, on Inferno Pools. There was like that list of things that Bunny was staying in the game because he had, and then like once the Thor died, he crossed it off, and he was like, well, I guess I GG now. And then the same thing with Petraeus. He's like, does he have missile? Oh, all right, well, I'll just leave now because, yeah, it's really hard to make a comeback when you've got literally 0 workers out on the field and you can't actually make a worker. And so it's like, maybe Bunny is just like slipping into Bronze League and he didn't build any missile turrets, even though he had like 3 hours to build them. Because, of course, those mutas, they were like, well, we can't leave and run across the map. We have to kill off these Hellbats in our base. And Bunny's like, oh, yeah, just drop down 47 missile turrets. Easy peasy. Great game from Bunny.
Now, looking at our chat, one of our viewers has, looks like his name's Sassery, has pointed out that there is a pretty awesome promotion going on for subscribers.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. No, I'm still kind of upset about it, but I'll tell you why in a second. Yeah, that's still happening, Cyber. Basically, Cyber knows what I'm talking about, I think.
Yep.
Basically, if you subscribe today for $4.99, you're going to be supporting basically one of the longer running show match series now for 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Every week we've been putting on these fight nights for the community. But you get something in return for that too, guys, because you will be receiving a free $5 gift card from G2A, which will allow for you to buy games, including StarCraft, guys, if you need a second account, on G2A.com. So you're getting your money's worth back immediately in that gift card. Now, the reason why I'm pissed, though, is because it still says 3.99 euros for me instead of $5, and we know what's been happening to the euro lately, so I demand that to be changed. But I know for most people it's saying the right currency, so that's just my problem.
Well, I think that's... Oh, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought the euro was closer to like 1-to-1, so maybe it's only $4. At any rate, you did mention that this is one of the longest-running show matches, and it's show match series, excuse me. And I think we've done 16 of these in 2015 alone, which means not only is that, $1,600 that's been handed out directly to the players, but that's like so many games that have been streamed, casted, and of course played all on Hitbox and because of their support. But let's get into it because we have an ace match. We've got the game number 5 that I am so excited for because this is Team Gravity and we almost always have ace matches. But in the northern spawn position, our yellow Zerg player representing my insanity. Can he close it out? He is Petraeus.
Avocados.
They're delicious.
And on the bottom right-hand side is going to be the Hellbat King, it appears. Every time he's got it, he's been able to do some work. Will he try it again to end this tie and take the lead for one final time? And $10, the Blue Terran, representing Team Liquid, is Bunny.
Again, perhaps the best foreigner in the world, but Petraeus in this series is proving that he is a force to be reckoned with, and that he certainly deserves that Challenger League spot. I'm hoping that we're going to see Petraeus really perform just out of his mind this season, because he is one of the foreigners that I would love to see in, top 8, top 4 of WCS, much like I was very, very pleased to see both Bunny and Showtime, although, honestly, I don't follow Showtime like at all. But I was very happy to see Bunny in top 4, and now I'm hoping that I can see Petraeus in, like top 16, top 8, top 4. Would be pretty cool.
Yeah, new season brings a clean slate for all players involved, so always exciting to see what they will bring, if they've improved, if, some of the balance changes or things that they can learn or use or whatever. At least the map changes can make a big difference. And this map right here, both players are playing to that. We got a big fat map in Cactus Valley, no forced cross or vertical spawning, anything like that. And so we see both players going ahead and taking expansions first, something we haven't seen out of both players at the same time so far in this series.
Yeah, and it's going to be Hatch, Gas, Pool. All of them were like 15, 16, 17, right along there for Petraeus. I believe it was 15, 16, 16. But it is going to be that CC into Rax Gas like you were talking about. It is that economic play. Are we finally going to get that macro game that I was whining so much about, that just straight up, we build a huge army and then we just battle it out like crazy?
Yeah, there's certainly a good chance for that here. Bunny seems to be, well, you know what? Both these players at various games have been the ones to, choose to be the aggressor on two base. It's not just one player forcing like that other guy to like have to, play out of his comfort zone or anything. That hasn't been the case at all. So, you know what? If both players can play within their element, then I think that alone is, something to, I can be satisfied with that.
I hope you can be satisfied with a two-base Roach play, because it may very well be what we're seeing. Now, Bunny, again, like you were saying, he's playing to the map. He's like, well, that choke is like pretty big and also kind of far away from my natural. So I'm going to go ahead and drop my bunker right there next to my ramp. And then he is going to be following it up with that factory. Now, the 5 roaches on the production tab are perhaps the more interesting part of this game.
And, I almost wonder, too, if Nidus can come into play again here. Not that Petraeus is doing that now, but there's that Overlord there just sitting ever so quietly above that main base. And that's a great spot for a Nidus if one were to come. But it looks like we're just going to go with a very, very early Roach attack here. Is this, how many Roaches is this right now at the moment? It looks like 5 here. A couple more in
finishing
production.
Yeah.
So this is a very early two-base Roach timing here. No researching, no tech. This is pretty all in here from Petraeus, no question about it.
Yeah, I mean, he is just dumping every bit of gas he has almost into those roaches, or at least he was up until this point. Now he's adding on a lot more drones, but these roaches have been spotted. Does Bunny quite understand the kind of gravity of the situation? Or does he simply think that he can hold this? The second bunker does go down, but the roaches are at the front door. They're knocking on the supply depot, and there's not much of an answer.
Nope, and Hellions certainly aren't going to cut it. No armory yet for Liquid Bunny, obviously. It's pretty early for that. So, well, we're going to see these roaches move on into the main base. SCV's being pulled to help defend. This time around, we're not going to see Banshees yet, because the second that starport lifts, roaches are going to just walk right under it. So, really... Yeah. We're going to have to see Marauders come out of Bunny. He does have Medivac, so that can keep the Marauders alive a little longer. But now that he's supply blocked, he's not going to really be making much at all, at least not until these SCVs die off. This is a scary situation for Bunny here.
It is very scary. Now, we do have to kind of applaud Bunny's control, because he has got, like, literally 2 Marauders, and those are the things that he's keeping alive very expertly until that one dies right there. But the other guy does survive so long. He got so close to losing both of those Marauders, and then he just focused his attention, apparently, on keeping them alive. It was the correct choice. He is down 11 SCVs in that attack, so he's down 20 workers overall. But the power of Mules, as he drops 2 of them on his natural, he's not quite out of it yet, but there's more roaches on that production tab.
Yeah, and, he's only on 2 command centers, so I guess that is a bit of a reprieve for Petraeus. He's getting ready an Overseer to do some scouting just to see if there is that third CC. Actually, I think it's already in vision of that, isn't it? It's already morphing in front of that. Yeah. Okay, he does see it. So Petraeus is going to go ahead and take his third as well, and he's going to have to play a little defense here, because we're seeing a Hellion drop right now on that natural.
Yeah, and of course the armory isn't done, which means these will just be Hellions. 2 drones going down so far. The lineup is all right, but the Hellions don't exist to actually take the shots of that lineup. Only 2 drones going down. Maybe 1 more or 2 more in the main. Couple more shots. Bunny? Nope.
I'm liking Petraeus' play here in game number 5. And the reason why is because, it seemed like, he was going all in with roaches. Bzz, but, that actually was just him, adapting to the games before this. He was getting punished hard by the Hellbat timings. So his thinking is, you know what? I'm going to be the one here to dictate the pace of the game. I'm going to push earlier so that I throw off Bunny's macro, and then I won't have to suffer the same fate I did in, some of those previous games. And it's worked out well for him thus far. He's, he's still here. He's still alive.
That's very true. Now the Roaches coming in, and once again, Hellbats can be a factor, but will they be that big of a factor? There's only the 4 Hellions right there. 2 more are on the way. The Marauders finally getting into a better position. One of them in the bunker, but more SCVs going down. I mean, at least now he will have triple orbital as soon as he starts that 3rd orbital. But these Roaches are being pushed back. This damage is kind of heavy. Ooh.
Yeah, quite a bit of units being taken out, their SCVs as well, but these Roaches will be held. There's just enough Banshee here for Bunny to be able to secure that natural again, but he is losing workers left and right. Now 20 workers killed by Petraeus overall, and he's up by 61 to 37, and he is gearing up very soon for Mutas.
That's actually kind of all right because, well, actually, I don't know, because with only 1 Thor on the way, I mean, this second factory that's being added on could be could have a tech lab added to it for 2 Thors at once. But for now, there just isn't a whole lot around. Now, the other kind of unfortunate thing for Bunny is that just now his engineering bay is going to be finishing. So he's going to have a limited amount of time that he can actually produce missile turrets.
Yeah, he just dropped the scan, so he does have a bit of a window of time. The Mutas, where are they right now? There's 7 in production. None are out yet. So actually, I think Bunny should be able to get up the turrets he needs. He's going to have the Thor out in short order. So he should be okay against this. But as always, the Mutas, good Muta micro will always be able to find things to attack where the turrets aren't. We'll see if that's going to be the case here, as the Mutas are now converging on the Lone Viking.
The Thor is here to protect them. They're going to be forming a bit of a tag team, but like you were talking about, the Mutas are going to find a way to do damage somewhere. Petraeus is not simply going to turn around and walk away, although he is going to be losing an Overlord and an Overseer. Slight annoyance there, but if he picks off this Viking, he's not quite able to get it.
Oh, interesting. I'm seeing a Hydralisk Den on the way. I saw a Infestation Pit as well, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah.
Petraeus going for quite a bit of tech here, and I suppose the Spire, as I was saying, it wasn't something he was going to commit to. It is, to some respect, as he is getting +1 air. So very interesting to see what Petraeus is trying to do here. He's getting a Hive as well now.
Yeah, maybe looking to go a little bit late game into that Sky Zerg. For now, Mutas are kind of going to be figuring out that this 3rd is about to be taken. And the Thor is going to be keeping that away. Now this mech macro has started to sort of come into effect as we're getting more tanks on the way. Factories finishing up with their add-ons in a couple of moments. And soon the power of Bunny Mech will be out on the field in force. Now in game number 1 of our first series, Semper was able to make 150 SCV kills. Just almost an equal game against Jim Rising with some really good mech play. Bunny can, of course, be doing something similar because even though he's currently down on upgrades, down on workers, and hasn't really done that much damage, he could very well take some extremely cost-effective engagements and really just power forward in this game.
Pending this attack, we are seeing Petraeus moving out with Hydras and Roaches right now. He knows that it's going to be mech. He wants to see if he can, keep a siege line from forming, but that's already starting to take place here for Petraeus on his 3rd base. Bunny is going to just keep on adding tanks 3 at a time, it looks like. And he can just hunker down here. I mean, mech is that turtle composition, and it's kind of just Petraeus here trying to keep that from happening.
He's trying to keep it from happening, and Petraeus eventually will have Vipers out here to assist his Roach Hydra army. He is going to be trading away a couple of the Roaches. 5 SCVs going down. He's trading out a lot of Roaches for those 5 SCVs, so not exactly worth it. As the Siege Tanks get a couple more free shots for Bunny. He's just having a lot of free damage go out on this Zerg army, softening it up pretty heavily.
Well, Cybert, you wanted a Macron game?
Yeah, buddy.
I don't think this is this couldn't be closer to that.
That's true.
We got Hive Tech. We got a mech Terran who's going to play defensively for, pretty well, has played defensively for the entirety of this game. And it's going to stay that way too, also. So we're in this one for the long haul, folks.
Yep. To be fair, I never asked for a turtle mech. I just wanted to see macro play. I was kind of hoping it was going to be bunny macro bio and just do a lot of drops. But Roach Hydra going to be moving in, Blinding Cloud going down on some of these tanks. And of course, the Vipers are here to potentially do some more abducting as this third base is pushed away. The Roach Hydra, they're really wasting a lot of the infrastructure. They're not necessarily killing all of the units just yet, but they're crushing through. Bunny doesn't have the numbers just yet, but he should be able to clean up this attack. Will he be able to survive for too much longer?
Yeah, I mean, the name of the game against mech is just to trade. You can just trade cost effectively, then that's great, because mech is obviously slow to reproduce and no mobility. So you basically free yourself up to take over the map, and that's kind of what Petraeus is attempting to do here. The creep spread halfway through, and this is a big map. Let's not forget that too, guys. And also we're having additional bases being taken by him right now. So he just wants to basically trade away, get some of those units of money without losing too much of his own. And with his superior mining, he's got to be happy with it.
Indeed, dropping down more Blinding Clouds on top of the Thors. They're just sort of auto-moving directly into the Roach Hydra, being almost completely useless. There's a couple of abducts on the siege tanks to allow them to be extremely quickly destroyed by this Roach Hydra force as it moves forward. Even the tank about to go down. GG, and Petraeus takes it 3-2.
Oh, man. Well, in that big macro game, ace match, Petraeus just kept Bunny on his toes and really, took him out of his element. I mean, that early Roach attack caught Bunny off guard. He wasn't prepared. And then everything just kind of snowballed from that. Petraeus really firing on all cylinders, man, with his macro. Hadn't taken any economic damage whatsoever. And set himself up to basically beat down that mech before it could even take place.
Yeah. Superior upgrades certainly helping to play a role in that. I mean, he was just upgrading across the board. He had his 1-1-1 done, so even as Mutalisks, the limited number that there were doing that extra bit of damage. And, just straight up out-macroing Bunny. He had a lot more units to kind of throw at Bunny in sort of that mid-game. And unfortunately for Bunny, he wasn't able to take it. The best foreigner in the world potentially being pushed aside by the Mayan Sanity Zerg Petraeus. Now, we do have another fantastic match going to be coming up. Fantasy versus some Terran Keen. That's who it is. Fantasy versus Keen. Dead Pixels versus Prime. And boy, what one heck of a way to finish off the night. Semper versus Jim Rising was our starting match. Bunny versus Petraeus going all the way to the ace. Great matches. And now Fantasy versus Keen going to be coming up. What a night.